maybe 350 in most of these castles. Problem, though, of course, is when we leave, they're going to kind of fall like dominoes. So we'll at least suppress this last Khuzait force before we head west. At least shipboard travel across this lake is pretty quick, right? 3 days, 4 days. Much faster than land, and that has been our intent all along. And we've got to get back to suppress this Vlandian uprising. In fact, we've got a problem here. I want to address that, and let's start an episode. We'll break them into pieces right here. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. Welcome back to our Epic Nord campaign. We just did some consolidation in the east against the Khuzait, and we've got a problem out here west. I'm going to show you the situation here. We've got one of our armies. It's a large army. Isla, our gal Isla, our Patreon supporter, has formed a large army, but the AI, it's not Isla for sure, right? She knows what she's doing, but the AI is in trouble out there. So we're going to head to Epinosa Castle here and defend. We'll dispatch this Khuzait force. Shouldn't be too much of a problem unless they have an elite force. And then we need to head west, right? We've got to help with the Vlandian uprising. They've taken over about a third of the map, maybe pushing closer to half. And look what's going on here. See if you can tell me what's wrong with this picture. Omor is down to 130 defenders. Our companion army, a third of the size of the Vlandian force there at Omor, is about to siege Varcheg 3 days from Omor. So you see what's going to happen here. They're going to siege. They're going to get caught up by this force of Vlandians. So you know what you do, right? This is where you can help your companion armies, right? The bottom line is the AI needs, you know, it's a little bit like a 9-year-old bowling. They're going to throw the ball in the wrong lane sometimes. So what can you do, right? You can help them. You could put up the guardrails, and one of the ways you can do this is to disband their army. What this does is it prevents them from being locked into the siege where they're captured for sure. Now, we're going to lose relations, but we're generating enough influence that we can come right back in here and not only improve the amount of influence that Isla has and that that Joel Hall has in his army, Sigartan. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. In any case, you can help your companion armies by doing that, right? Now they won't get captured because they won't be able to form an army fast enough to siege the city. It's effectively a timing thing. And hopefully we can get out there and help them put down that Vlandian uprising. It's at least 2 large armies of Vlandians that we need to deal with, sail across this little inland sea, and hopefully we can continue to multitask. You can see our relation is starting to creep up again with the Skolderbroda. That's important because if it's too low, they won't rejoin your kingdom. So we've got the right army to just maul this Khuzait force. We'll talk more about treats here, Volhutor. We're going to continue to customize these characters, bringing in the Patreon members so that there's an added level of immersion for you fellas. We'll have storylines around as many of them as we can. Of course, the Death for All is loaded, right? So we may have a storyline developed around your character and gets killed in combat. This is just the nature of it. It's the nature of the medieval era. And even though we are editing this campaign with encyclopedia entries and in some cases changing the appearances so that they match characters and whatnot, you know, there's still a level of danger in this campaign, a level of authenticity, right? We're effectively controlling some of the elements, and most of it is up to the game engine, what happens here. So the Death for All mod is cranked, large Khuzait force in the open field. What can go wrong? Well, we've got an elite army at this stage. I think we have about 80 Nautes, in addition to a really good army here. We've got a beautiful ridge here. You guys know what we're doing here. You tacticians are salivating like I am. There is a reverse slope decline bowl right here in front of the Khuzait. If the Khuzait are stupid enough to come over this ridge, and they probably will be, we're talking the AI here, artificial imbecility, they are going to get, well, they're going to find out who the true master of projectiles are. And I'll give you a hint. It's not the Khuzait. Now we've got to prevent them from circling us, or at least anticipate that, but we've got the medicine for what ails us here. We've got shock troops with the speed banner. We've got 2 archer divisions. We've got 2 essentially skirmisher divisions. And then we have a Huskarl division. The first division is a bunch of Huskarls with, of course, Commander Marco is in that division. And a bunch of other elite companions. And look at these horse archers. They are charging over the ridge here. And good night, right? Watch this hail of fucking darts. These guys are going to get absolutely shredded sexy death spam here, and look at the fucking throwing weapons. And I'm not even using our 6th core yet, right? We are measured. You know, we listen to Bane in the Dark Knight, right? We're not going to expend all of our output here just for a little bit of cavalry that's going to get melted. We don't need to, right? We'll save this for the secondary phase of this battle. No shooting there, dude. Oh, shit. Well, it sounds worse than it is. I look down, and even a headshot, and Glaron Heavyhand here is still roaming about. I can do a little bit of horse murdering here. And there's a death, right? We are going to suffer some losses, but not very many. We've got the 6th and 3rd Corps down here. Our rear is protected by this ridge with archers here and an infantry line. The enemy can't really come over that ridge, and if they do, they're not going to like what happens. Eric the Terrible is getting levels. And they are circling us here, but that just is going to lead to them being trapped. And they're being shelled on this ridge because they can't shoot until they're being flicked with throwing axes and javelins. Now I got to keep an eye out for the enemy lines, right? They're going to be coming up here eventually with infantry and archers. In fact, it looks like they're considering it now. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to form a roving square at the top of this ridge. The 1st Division can hold our left beautifully, and look at the darts flying. I mean, it's just sick. Their shields break, they get blown off their horses, and now we bring the 6th Corps up here, right? These guys are going to be able to unleash hell, and it's going to be sex as fuck once they start dumping javelins. In fact, they can probably hit the enemy right now. Oh shit, they're here. Fire away, boys. And watch this shit. We'll give you a little sky view of the death that the enemy is about to obtain. Holy fuck. As hammers and javelins and everything else assail their force. And that is just sexy as fuck, right? Just throwing weapons galore, landing in the flesh of this enemy force. And there's no reason initially for us to charge, right? You just, around the margins of this square, you protect your units and let your skirmishers work. I mentioned it a couple episodes ago that we were going to start leveling these nautes, these nates if you prefer, these elite mariner javelin throwers from the Imperials. We now have, like I said, maybe 180 to 100. And we have lots of other skirmishers too, right? We have sturgeon skirmishers. We even have a handful of wildlings still surviving. Now we can charge with the 3rd Corps. And whatever's left of this infantry is just going to get vanquished in a heartbeat. There's more horsey boys coming over the hill, but this is secondary archers, or horse archers now, right? These are no longer elite horse archers. These guys are going to get destroyed, just cut to ribbons. And it's a lot of them. But that just means there's more to kill quickly. And it's a glorious scene here for Glaron Heavyhand. It's just a chopping session. Let's push in here. Let's set up before they can get their archers reestablished. Charge. Cut these horses down so our troops can advance. The guys ain't setting up. No archers. I'm going to rip right through their ranks here. Still have half a health bar. We're tempting fate every time we do this. Of course, Glaron Heavyhand can get killed, and I said earlier in this campaign we were going to save Scum if he died, and what I meant by that is like the first 10 episodes, right? He's part of the storyline, but now we've got errors that are ready to take his place. This story will continue probably in different directions if he goes down. So, you know, we'll take a modicum of safety here. Occasionally we'll whip out our shield, but this guy is not a defensive commander. He does not believe in retreat or fucking caution. This guy's a battlefield warrior. He likes the fray. And of course, it's fun to play deep in the enemy ranks. He might be getting old. That looter survived an axe swing. So, you know, you might be getting some age things with Bannerlord. That's one feature that's not part of Bannerlord. I think it's because they don't want to remind us of the infirmity of age. When your characters get older, there's no negative effect ever. They don't lose anything. They don't lose intelligence. They don't lose athleticism. They don't lose quick muscle. They just get better and better until they die, which is obviously not anywhere close to real life. But my God, what a massacre. This is a 20-to-1 kill ratio. Well, I want tighter battles, and we're having lots of tighter battles mixed in, but we're also having some of these, plentiful amounts of these, as this juggernaut Nord force. It's a mixed army, but it's, you know, it's probably 60% Nords, crushes our way through Calridia. We've got the right minor clans. If you're going to get minor clans, I think these are well, 2 of the 3 is what you want. We lost the Company of the Boar. That would probably be my 3rd choice because of their good defensive and front-loaded damage. They're a bunch of crossbow basically with good shields. They're basically sharpshooter lights. Right? It's a Vlandian minor clan. But the Skolderbroda and Lake Rats are probably 2 of my top 3 minor clans. The only one that's in the conversation, especially with the new javelin accuracy, of course, is the Beni Zilal. They are just absolutely disgusting. 10 javelins on the Beni Zilal, just like the Lake Rats. And I think we'll try to leave. I think this will be almost 400 here at Epinosa. You know, we're still going to talk about campaign strategy in between the storyline, in between the huge crushing battles here. We want to buttress our eastern front here, continue to leave food and horses in good amounts at every location. These are all just things I think you do as a good overall player, commander, despot. These are the kind of things that Frederick the Great and Alexander the Great and a bunch of other greats and Napoleon the Great and can never get on these fucking ships. You know, you want to leave yourself basically options when things get grim. Yeah, we've got 400 up and down and almost 800 now at Tayal. Plus, of course, in the north, Hargard, there's 400. There's 680. What do we got going on there? I might need to look at that. There's no way we left 680 at Hargard, I don't think. I think we left 350. So we might have a bug or something going on there at Hargard. Unless I don't know what that is. We'll look into that off camera, so to speak. We don't have any mods that are affecting garrisons, so I'm really perplexed. And we haven't seen anything like that either from the other locations. Nevertheless, we roll on here. We're not just going to end an episode and go out and try to edit and figure out what the fuck malfunctioned. The mods we're using have been remarkably stable. It's been a great ride. Reinforcement system, Battlesize, the Lord Retinue Mod. What else do we have? We've got the party resizer. It's what it does is it effectively doubles the enemy's size. Maybe we'll talk about mods a little bit more, especially if there's some dull points. But I'm also doing considerable editing, right? When we fill a garrison of a city, a lot of times, and we sift through the remnants of it, I don't always show you guys. And I wonder where that other Vlandian force went. They had 2. There's only 1 force sieging here at Mazadon. And I don't want her running off and sieging. Oh shit. Okay, so they're both at Mazadon now. This is where you want control. There is a mod that I have. I've downloaded it. I've looked at it. I'm not going to use it for this campaign. It seems too much artificial control. It's called Party AI Controls, I think. A lot of guys recommend mods on a regular basis. What I typically do is I'll experiment with them. And if they're not going to manifestly change gameplay too much or benefit us too much, you know, I might use them. But this one is like I could command her to defend this castle. I don't want that because the vanilla players are like, what the fuck is this? Like you're playing a completely different game than I am. I want it to be sort of in between, right? We're going to have an epic campaign with gigantic battles, but we're gonna do some of the things the ways that'll help players who are using a console or vanilla, right? Whatever it is, and they can't use all these mods, right? So what I just did there, again, we disbanded Isla's army. She's probably feeling seriously disrespected, right? So we'll have to send her some love notes or whatever. I guess that's creepy. Some young ladies on our Patreon. Can I be in a... Yeah, I'll send you some love notes. And my wife is like, you're doing what? You know what I mean. We're gonna try to make things up for the fact that we just disrespected her army. That would be hugely offensive to a commander. You just disband their army and make them all join yours. Of course, this is what Napoleon did, right? He didn't disband their armies, but he would use, Napoleon used mods, right? He would use the party AI controls and tell Marshal Ney and Davout, meet me here so that we can crush this Vlandian force. Now, this is the way to do it, on vanilla, is just to disband that army, call them to you, and then later on, you can worry about the relations. You can worry about their influence. It is painful that you have to do that, but the bottom line is that AI in the game is still artificial imbecility. And let's see, it's a really interesting tactical spot. We're in a horrific position. We're downhill, but we have a bridge behind us that I think we can use. And let's try a bifurcated positioning here. I can use it both defensive and offensive. If they don't come to us, what we can do here is swing troops around the other side of this riverbed and get forces jammed up on them on this side, and then shell them with arrows from the other side of the river. I think we can make this work. If they come at us, it'll work effectively as well. What we can do is put archers right here. That'll help us fall back to a defensive spot here. Skirmishers and archers. Let's give them buttress protection here. 2nd Division, and we've got 40 cavalry that we can dismount and make them stand there. Let's see here. We'll just shove them against the rocks here. It makes a natural barrier, right? We can take that cav division and just go like this. And we'll see if they come at us. If they don't come at us, we're obviously going to have to move up aggressively. But Vlandia is one of the most aggressive kingdoms, even though we outnumber them here, or at least it's a fair fight. They would be better off playing defensive, and here they come. I think part of the reason they're charging here is they have like 15% of their army is archers, right? So you can't really do a ranged battle where so small of your force is ranged. And the reality is we would utterly annihilate this force if they tried to play defensive, because they don't have defensive units, right? They have, I was going to say lots of skirmishers. They don't have any skirmishers. They have lots of archers. I need more caffeine. My narration is suffering today. It's hard sometimes to do tactics and give clean narration in giant battles like this. All right, so 6th Division behind a defensive ring. I'm going to put this 1st Division of Huskarls in a ring, 3 men deep, protecting our shock troops. Although we've got a nice blind flank over here right now on our right. On our left as we're facing the enemy, there's a beautiful ridge here to protect our shock troops. And the enemy's walking right into death. They are going to get shellacked. So ring here of three lines of Huskarls. Got all kinds of skirmishers that are just waiting to dump in throwing weapons on the enemy. Of course, your Huskarls will dump in throwing axes as well. Ring defense is lethal. You can hear all the shields tink, tink, tink. Sounds like rain hitting our shields. Archers on the other side that are completely protected. They are sending some cavalry in that direction, right? So it's good that we put some defensive forces over there to protect those archers. And fucking good night. Look at these poor bastards. They might as well charge hell. Now, they have a lethal army here. We're going to suffer a lot more losses with this battle than that Khuzait battle. But unless they have more forces nearby, this Vlandian double army is going to get sacked. That's a lot of heavy horse. Charge. It's a healthy-looking death span, though. Hold on, companions. We got another epic battle here. And the power bar is like almost dead even. You know what? We're just not going to show you the power bar. Now that you know it's dead even. The death spam's not, though. Right? Any tactician can look at our situation and say yum yum here. The enemy's stacked up on tough infantry. Arrows and javelins are flying over the top of them, drilling the enemy. That means they can't swing their weapon. They swing their weapon, their shield comes down, then they're destroyed. They're sending cavalry to their death here. They're charging in. And they are getting charged a little bit over there on the far left bank, but it's largely protected, which means that 2nd Division can move up here. We can start to bring them into this fray. The enemy attacked with a cav wing over there, but it got stuffed. It got stuffed and annihilated. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. As we just cut down all this cavalry to ribbons. Oh, we got some naked lords running up. Just slashing a woman. And we took a spear right to the fucking leg. But we're in great shape here. Alright, tons more Vlandians coming in. Let's get those forces from the other side of the river over here. They've served their purpose. There's not much going on over there. We don't need to fall back, right? We've got the enemy here wobbling. Let's stay offensive. We're going to get reinforcements pretty close to here, even though they're charging in still with banner knights. A lot of their horses are now mid-tier. These guys are toast. Get the 5th and 6th Corps over here to our right flank, charge with the 1st, 3rd, and 2nd. You're dead! As he lands right in the midst of the shock troops. I gotta get rid of these throwing weapons. I feel a little bit slow, and that can be the thing, right? Your throwing weapons, I can't remember how much they weigh. Javelins weigh a lot, by the way. If you have a big stack of javelins, I want to say they're 10 pounds or 10 units or whatever. I like to just get rid of these throwing weapons. I should have done it earlier. In some ways, it's a negative, because you move so much slower with throwing weapons. And now we can get our speed on. Look how much faster we move, just cruising. They don't even get to pull their weapon out before they're cut to ribbons. The cavalry is butchered. And you dodge better, too. You can use their own troops there to stack up the cavalry. This is beautiful. I got a shield on my back, blocking half of their spear attempts, and they're just imploding here. All you hear is cavalry neighing. And it's an incredible amount, right? What is that, 400 cavalry or something? But they're just dying as fast as they come in. Got infantry lines moving forward. A lot of their forces are trying to regroup. Let's teach them a good lesson here. Those are our Skolderbroder right there. That's what I mean. Look how fast they're moving too, because they have the speed banner. We have 3 units right now with the speed banner, and you can see it on the battlefield. Our forces are just moving at a fast and menacing pace. Hey, you lost your horse, dude. Oh shit, here's a lot more cavalry. Man, this Vlandian force must have had 1,000 cavalry. But you break out your shield, and I mean, is this guy a stud character or what? He's got defense, he's got offense. Another horseman to be crushed on top of the head. The rest of their forces look like they're fleeing. This cavalry, it feels like they're trying to make a rear guard while the rest of their troops reform, but I think they're making a suicide here while the rest of their troops flee. They would be advised to leave before they end up on the ground too. And you feel that little stall, that one too. That's the whole enemy force routing off the battlefield. They're like, fuck this gank. We're out of here. Look at them scurrying every which direction. And there's, oh my god, look how fast this guy's moving. What unit is that? It's a militia, and he's outrunning me. Look at that. And there's your speed banner. He's soaked in blood, and he's running a 10-200. Let's put that guy into the Olympics next year. That guy was he's covered in blood, and he's running as fast as he can to the front lines. That was a militia archer. You gotta love it, man. And I dare say Glaron Heavyhand right now is ascendant in Calradia. I'm sure there will be ups and downs as we continue this campaign. Other kingdoms are forming armies as we speak. Coalitions are forming, but we got peace from the Nords, right? And we'll have a cutscene for that. With the demise of King Canute, the Nords at least want to catch their breath. The Aserai are still coming up north. They've been fighting the Northern Empire. We've got kind of a wall. Our alliance is really paying off here. And so it's sort of 2-on-3. It's us, the Northern Empire, versus the Vlandians, the Aserai, and the Khuzait. Now, for sure, the power bars favor them, right? They must have quadruple or maybe more our total forces and far more castles and cities. But when you're doing that kind of shit to armies of 3,000, it almost doesn't matter, right? We're going to have to have a string of bad luck here to have a major setback in this campaign, or your narrator here, right? Your navigator in this campaign is going to create some interest for you. Now we've got to go to Omor and take that. I'm not sure I'm going to show that to you. We got to continue. Look at this badass gal here. This is another one of the children. She's going to be an archer. She looks amazing, right? This mix between Glaron and Gulta is producing just mass murderers. We're going to take Omor, and I don't think I'm just going to keep narrating, but it looks like an easy take. Probably a couple 300 defenders. We have a huge force. At least Omor should hold, and obviously we can try to sail back, but we've got to continue to seek these diplomatic marriages. Of course, you need marriages in Bannerlord to have children down the road, and again, I do have longer-term plans for this campaign. We're going to have a companion, a devastating companion side series from this, so we need some grandchildren, right? Glaron Heavyhand has all these children. You've got to get them married off, so We should be able to find one of these Northern Empire lords. The good thing is there's a lot of Northern Empire lords, and we continue to have this alliance with the Northern Empire. If we can find the right lord too, we're going to get not only married, but we're going to ask them to go to war again against the Khuzait. Your ally is kind of spotty when it comes to fighting kingdoms. However, usually there's a dialogue where you can basically ask them, yes, I'd like you to fight them for another $1 million or whatever it is. We only have 2 million now, but basically every city we can collect all of the merchants' gold. There's only 20,000 here. And let's get treats. Let's get him treated out here, right? This is Glaron's third son. We're going to get him dialed in. And look at this lucky son, a masterwork, Ulfhednar, whatever, gigantic, nasty polearm. Well, eventually we're going to get him a noble bow, right? A legendary noble bow. We got to level up his bow skill. He's still only in the 30s, right? Or 45, but he's going to gain skills rapidly, obviously with 9 focus points on control. And we got to get some food here as well. Every single city is starving because our enemy is raiding. Not every city, but every city we don't go to for a while has been neglected, is starving. And we need to start developing a few supply castles because we're really suffering here in the center of the map. But, we've got Isak the Terrible going to make an army. And Samantha, who else we got? We got Nikasor. This guy we've seen, he's got a bunch of eligible daughters, and then Giffer. Giffer, here we go. This guy's got some daughters too. This is the easiest way to get married, is to find the head of the household, and look at, he's got plenty of daughters. A lot of them we haven't met. We're not overtly concerned, and there we go, right? We're having children. We're not overtly concerned about the quality of the wives, but you can be a little bit picky, right? Especially if there's a lot to choose from. We've got good relationships. I want to introduce characters from time to time. William of the North with a robust encyclopedia. This fella here, I won't say his name. If you guys are part of the Discord, you probably know his name, but he has been tremendously helpful for the challenge in the Discord. He's one of our top advisors, so to speak, and we're going to have William of the North in this campaign as we continue to flesh out the characters. I may have 200 unique encyclopedia entries by the time we're all said and done, because it has been fun developing this universe within the channel. This is our 3rd campaign, effectively, really 4th if you count Zuvan and some of the after effects of that campaign that are now all playing in this campaign, whether it's Wazuban, the family of Baron York, right? There's all sorts of elements that I like where there's a continuation. And now that we're at 11:14, it's starting to feel like this is a continuation. Now, I mean, it's been a continuation, but now it's really starting to authentically feel like a continuation of the Vlandian campaign. And the Vlandians are a major threat. Every time we turn our back, there's an army of 3,000. And Isak the Terrible has formed a huge army, but there are huger armies out there, right? There's just gigantic enemy forces everywhere we look. And sometimes you got to send your children off to school and hope that they don't fail math class, right? You got to take chances sometimes. We'll see if Isak the Terrible can have any control of his army and do well out there. We don't have a lot of forces still to assemble, right? We might have a few other minor clan forces that are roaming around, but those 1,500 are pretty dear to us out west. Now, this can be a little bit like finding a needle in a haystack. I'm looking for 4 or 5 lords here that have eligible bachelorettes and monitoring his progress. Hopefully he doesn't go, sometimes they'll siege like Prevent deep in enemy territory where it's a certainty they're going to get destroyed. We'll keep an eye on him as we look for Nikasor. Here we go. This is one of the guys. I think he's got, we'll see if his daughters are, good quality daughters, or if they're a bunch of termagants and troglodytes. I love using the English language, is amazing. Of course, most languages are amazing, but as an English speaker, it's very fun to have a large vocabulary. If you've never heard of a termagant, go look it up. It's a funny word. Of course, it's pejorative, right? It's a negative word, but when you're having fun with a Bannerlord campaign, you can call some of these women troglodytes. And here we go. See, we can get an alliance, or more accurately, a call to war. And we can afford that. It's a bunch of money, but it also funds your enemy, or your ally rather. It basically goes straight into their coffers, and it does allow them to recruit troops and make bigger armies. And this is not a troglodyte. Here's a attractive young lady. She's even got a nice tattoo and a curious skill set. It looks like she's, I don't know, we'll have to see. It's going to work though, right? She's got some marine skills, which will be handy. It looks like she's a mix between a steward and a warrior, which is sometimes not optimal because that means that they're a jack of all trades. You would sort of prefer that most of your family members were specialists, elite, at whatever it is they do. So maybe she's not perfect, but that's all right. We're not going to overly ruminate in this campaign. Let's see what she's got here. She's certainly nice to look at. That never hurts. And that'll be treats. Treats, you got a new wife. It didn't take long, right? 18 years old, you get some elite equipment and you get to marry a beautiful young lady here. I'm trying to do the upgrades to characters in big groups, but at the same time, I run into them where they need like to get a focus point or an attribute point assigned, something we really need, and I'm just kind of doing it on the fly. I can't spend every 10 minutes every episode covering all the companions. You guys will have to forgive me. We try to show them on a regular basis, and here she is. She's got... we can work with this. It's a really odd spec. She's got athleticism, intelligence. We can make her a bow character. She's got a lot of mariner skills, a lot of her perk points. She has very few, or not perk points, very few focus points in anything except her mariner skills, which is odd. And I'm not thrilled about him sieging Seinon, but maybe just once we'll let it go. We're getting to the point where we can start taking some chances, right? At some point or other, you got to send your kid off to school. And there's Nethor right there, Emperor Nethor. Look at him driving in on the Aserai. And what an alliance we have here in this campaign. And some guys are like, break your alliance, dude. It's too easy. We're going to roll with stuff, right? And of course, there will be, I guarantee there will be twists and turns in this campaign. But we're going to roll on right now. And Ascendancy indeed. We've got Epinosa Castle. We might even be able to make it there, but I've got to break this episode off. It's almost lunchtime. My wife and I are going to have lunch out in our yard in a beautiful sunny day. There's some gentle music playing here. The campaign is clearly at a high point here. So I'm going to break it off right here. And we will resume next time, friends. Of course, this campaign, I promise carnage, twists and turns, and gigantic battles. The storyline will evolve, and hopefully you are along for the ride, whether it's beautiful carnage or just beautiful music in the background. This beautiful game of Bannerlord, with all of these children coming of age and all of these companions maturing into the roles that they were destined for in this campaign. It's been a lot of fun to build this out, and hopefully you have been enjoying the ride. All right, friends, if you want to see more, now's your time to subscribe. Please hit that like and hype button on the way out. It really helps. With all that said, I will see you, friends, next time.